If you are enjoying this podcast and other podcasts on the Dragon Wagon Radio Network, be sure to check out the Dragon Wagon Shop. Awesome t-shirts and mugs from your favorite shows so you can tout your podcast pride, all while supporting your favorite indie podcast network. And make sure to check it often for new items and limited time designs. So shop now at dragonwagonshop.com and get your dragon swag on.
Krista! Hey, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Really? Because you seem a little...
I said I'm fine.
Okay, well, we all love you, so if you need to talk, we're...
She's fine. She's fine.
I'm fine.
Hey there, everybody. I am so excited to be back. I'm so excited to be back. And, I've been having a really rough time. And I know that I've been very open with all of you about my journey, over the past year since I've been doing this podcast. And all of y'all have been amazing and so encouraging and inspiring. And I love you all. But I got to tell you, I've kind of, I've been trying. But there's a difference between trying to be okay and actually being okay. And when you're faking it, like I have been, so good, or maybe not so good, when you're faking it, a lot of other things happen. You do things like you start to isolate, or you start to lie, or you start to hide yourself away from what's really going on. And for me, I had some big health issues that were going on with me, probably for the past 2 years. Everything's fine now. But I was also in a relationship that wasn't really conducive to actually not feeling good. And there just wasn't a lot of support there. And I started to spiral really, really hard. And but I'm better and things are good. And I have been really starting to take care of myself. Now, wanted to give you that little piece of me because my guest this week is Darren Prince. Now, Darren Prince came into my life by my friend Nick, who is wonderful, and told me I should have Darren on the show. Darren wrote a book called Aiming High: How a Prominent Sports and Celebrity Agent Hit Bottom at the Top. It's about his story of recovery from addiction, and I would highly recommend any of you out there listen to this, because it doesn't matter if it's drugs, alcohol, love, Facebook, sex, it doesn't matter. There is something else that you need to deal with when you're addicted to something, right? Because we're reaching for something else. And I'm going to leave it at that because, look, this guy was a sports agent. He had Muhammad Ali, Magic Johnson, Pele, Joe Montana, Smokin' Joe Frazier, Dennis Rodman, Chevy Chase, Pamela Anderson, Carmen Electra, Jenny McCarthy. And he did all of this in the midst of addiction. And then now he's sober and he's amazing. And he is one of the most inspirational men I have ever met. And I'm just going to let you listen to the podcast. So without further ado.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited that you're here. You couldn't have come on a better day. So here's the thing. This book, Aiming High, which is your story of addiction and recovery, and starting at a really young age, becoming like super successful at like 15, baseball cards, and then you trade it. Then you turn that into a like signing memorabilia, and then that, agency. And then you had who did you have as your first client?
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson. Yep. Yeah, so Magic Johnson, Dennis Rodman, Muhammad Ali,
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. So and then during all of this, which is usually you hear the opposite of the stories, right? It's like you go from rags to riches, but you were already there, but it wasn't really necessarily about money as much as it was human condition and your journey in finding yourself at. Do you think it was like a fear of success? Is there like a fear of success wrapped into all of that? Like what happened in terms of your addiction? Like I know there's a lot of childhood stuff that happened, but do you think that comes into like a fear of success somewhere? Because I'm just curious for my own stuff. You know what I mean? Like even just for me, do you think that's what happened?
It's a good question. With me, I think it was more not accepting the success, not feeling worthy of
Not-
the success.
Right.
And also to stay successful and stay on top, not being able to do that feeling like Darren Prince without having opiates or something in my system.
Because that made you feel 100%.
Exactly. Made me feel whole.
Until it didn't.
Exactly. It turned probably 4 or 5 years before I got sober.
Yeah. And then because it's not like it's a huge thing. This addiction, this type of addiction is so huge because it's so easily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And you did this because you were trying to be a stand-up guy. You were managing people. You were doing stuff. You're not going to be doing cocaine and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's just a prescription.
Exactly. The doctors gave it. to me.
It's a
Yes,
prescription.
it's nothing. I've
It's
got back pain,
nothing.
I'm in pain.
Give
It's
me
no big
some
deal.
more.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's crazy because but it makes so much sense. It's why it's such a big deal. See, when you came over today, I had a surgery. My son just had his tonsils out. The guy that I broke up with, a friend of mine told him I was in the hospital and he started texting me. My dog's
forget
not
about the
feeling
dog,
good.
most
He can't
importantly.
even, like he's like screaming if I just touch him and it's so frustrating. And then just in general, I'm like falling up, like everything's falling away. Wah, 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 right? But the first question that you asked me when I was like, look, this is what's going on right now. I'm like so freaking codependent. I like have all this stuff going on. You just stopped and you go, what is like your normal practice? Like what gets you back to being centered? Do you meditate?
Right.
Do you? And automatically I was like, oh yeah, I haven't done it in 3 days. I've been taking care of everybody else. And I was frantic. This isn't like this isn't like a me too, me him moment. I'm not even wearing a bra right now because I haven't showered. You're seeing like no makeup, running back and forth from Studio City to here, barefoot running to the door going, hey, what's going on? By the way, you can't tell. I'm saying to the audience, you can't tell that I'm not wearing a bra.
Not at all.
See, yeah, because it's like the big whatever. But I'm just saying for me, these suckers need to be, strapped in. So I'm just saying normally I wouldn't just show up. You know what? How about I stop talking about my boobs? We can just,
Unless the listeners want to hear about
no,
them.
I don't. I think they want to hear about what a badass you are. You also said something that's really cool because you did the Cuomo
Yes.
interview and it was the 4 A's.
4 A's.
The attitude, acceptance,
Accountability, action, and attitude
and
adjustment.
attitude adjustment. Okay, which leads us into so this is something that you as an agent, as somebody that's there, I mean, anybody that's in the business, anybody that has a skill level that is making them famous
Right.
has a lot of shit going on. Do you know, like there's
Absolutely.
a lot of pressure to maintain and it's very easy to fall. It's very easy to fall away, forget who you are, forget your
Exactly.
center. And so these 4 A's, which is something that should probably be taught everywhere, like just to remember or just to remember what these are, right? So
Absolutely.
when you go into like the first one, say the first one was what?
The first one may be accountability. I think it's probably the most important.
That's my favorite.
I think that's the most important.
That's my favorite one.
Yep.
I like that one the best. Do you know why? It's like when we were sitting here and I go, you know what? This is what I'm doing. Oh, I need to find the solution. Just being able to be accountable takes you out of victim mode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And from somebody that's a consummate victim, like for my entire life, the accountability thing has been such a huge one for me because I crave it, but I also expect others to be equally accountable and I'm always let down.
Doesn't work that way.
I know.
No,
So what can you tell people about that? Because that seems to be one of my biggest hurdles that I think a lot of people try to get over that. Like you go, I feel like I'm being accountable. Why can't these people be accountable? And then you realize it's not even about them. This is still about
About
you.
us. It's about
Yeah, I
us.
mean, us. Yeah.
Well, I think the second part of the accountability is the action. And that's where the other A comes in. Because you can think about the accountability all day long and this person and that one, then why didn't they? We can't control other people. We can only control our own actions
Right.
and our own thought process.
Right.
So if that accountability is followed up with an action to make that change, whatever that situation might be or life changing
right.
problem might be, that's when you get those breakthroughs. Because if you're just sitting at the accountability and not taking an action,
Ooh, acting on the
you're going to stay
awareness.
stagnant. It's gonna be a seesaw back and forth, back and forth. You're never going to have that breakthrough to get to that next level, to change your vibration, to get you to a place where you need to be.
That's I mean, yes, it seems very simple. It seems very simple what you're saying, but it's one of the
Very
hardest
difficult.
things to
One of the
do
hardest things in the world.
ever, because like you can be this. So when I think about my own accountability or awareness, I could say I've had accountability and awareness my whole life, but have I acted on it? Have I done something to change myself? Or have I just been like, oh no, I'm totally aware.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm really accountable. Or am I making those changes? And the answer would be no.
Probably not, right?
Not the way that I should be in order to see, to shift my vibration, to raise myself to a higher place, to find the
Absolutely.
self-love,
Mm-hmm.
which ultimately is what this whole thing is about.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
I know that when you were in the middle of your struggle and going down, like you hated, your self-loathing was so prominent.
Forget it. Yeah. Hated myself. Hated my life. Everybody thought every guy would have given everything to have my life. You would have thought 25, 26 years old, Pamela Anderson, Chevy Chase, Muhammad Ali, Magic Johnson, and I was just miserable. I just was faking it till I make it, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
I wanted everybody to think that I had it all put together. A lot of it was also growing up being labeled severely learning disabled. I wrote about it in my book. I called the chapter The Special Crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it with me. So I felt like I always had to prove to people rather than work on who I needed to be for myself. I was always trying to be the person that I thought everybody else wanted me to be. And then it got to a point where the arrogance, the ego came in. Look at me, look at you,
Right.
look at my success. That came from not clearing out that crap.
Yeah.
I might have been aware of it, but I never had a breakthrough from it. It just stayed in my spiritual core for so many years. And the opiates and the drugs and the partying just made me forget about it.
Yeah.
So it was there. It never left.
I do that with alcohol.
Mm.
I do it with alcohol. Alcohol is very easily accessible. It's very easy to get. There's a wine company that sends me cases of wine all the time when I'm having something like, and it's very easy to drink a bottle of wine at night.
Mhm.
And I go into those places quite often where I'm like, why am I even doing this? I don't even I have work to do.
Exactly.
But you were still able, like, and I will start to fall off and not be able to keep up with things. And then I'll hate myself even more.
Mhm.
That's, when you realize, like, I know that there's like a little bit of I just need to get the wine out of here. Do you know what I mean? Or
Yep.
it's people need to stop bringing it over when they come for writing sessions. No, we're writing. We're not drinking tonight. But somehow it's
It
like,
makes us more creative. We think
no,
more.
and
Well,
and it's the absolute opposite. But somehow it's kind of like the same thing where it's like, oh, it's from a doctor. You're like, oh, a friend brought it over.
Mm.
It's still altering everything and keeping you down and can easily form a habit. Well, it's different with, things that, prescription medicine, because
it's different because there's not really a hangover effect the next day.
Right.
There was more a physical, like letdown, depression. I couldn't get back up.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like Chris Cuomo said to me on CNN that, how did you manage to function? To me, the pills made me Superman. To me,
Really?
the pills made Darren Prince whole. Whether it was Oxys, Vicodins, Percocets, I knew that to get into that super agent life, that super agent mode, where everybody thought I had it all going on, I needed them in my system. And without them, I was a nobody again. I'd be back at a hotel room after going to a huge keynote with Magic Johnson, or it could have been something with Joe Montana or Joe Frazier, and you would have thought, oh, I'm schmoozing, wheeling, dealing, the business cards, I'll call you tomorrow, But once it wore off and I'm back in the room by myself at the hotel,
Yeah.
I'm back to being that 12-year-old kid in special ed in the back of the room,
Right.
feeling completely like a loser.
And so this, yes, I do know. I absolutely do know because I think, look, a lot of my listeners, I love them so much, and I get thousands of emails with podcasts, and especially I know this one's going to be a big one too because there's a lot of people that are on a road of recovery from addiction, but there's also people that are straddling the fine line of am I an addict and do I have a problem? So that would be me sometimes with drinking, and I'm fully there, admitting it. But also knowing I can stop, but then I won't drink for 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, this will be fine. But we fall back and forth into these places. And I think that with all of the people but you don't have to. And when we first talked on the phone, I was like,
Our life-changing conversation that we had at the
I was
perfect
crying,
time.
like it was
Yep.
amazing, and I was like, "Hi," and I mean,
Yep.
I wasn't high. Wait, I was like, "Hi." I didn't mean high, like high on something. I meant like, "Hello."
When our mutual friend Nikki C told me to call,
Yeah.
and I was tired. I was back on the East Coast, little drained from a very busy week.
Yeah.
And I got you on the phone, and the energy just back and forth. You gave me what I needed, and I gave it right back.
It's yes, and it was so amazing. I was bouncing. I was smiling so big on the. Hold on one second. I bet you. Yeah, hold on. Okay, so here we go. So we're on our phone call, and I think I was telling you, I was like, the coolest thing I'm finding. I feel like I gave up on God a long time ago, and I feel. This was like way back in the day. I had my own abuse and my own crazy thoughts about myself. That little girl that wasn't enough. Definitely had my own learning disabilities and things that were going on. ADD, dyslexic, all of that stuff. Had other abuse things happen in my life that made me not want to speak for years, and I wouldn't speak. So people thought something was wrong with me.
Right.
Same thing, but I never fit in. And there was always this like kind of it's the same feeling of I think I'm alone,
Yep.
So but wait, where are we? But then I said something else. So just so you guys know, my building manager was trying to put a new air conditioner in, and I just got really mad at him. Oh, that was deep. Yeah, that was the deep.
The AC guy interrupted.
And then the AC guy came. Whatever. This is just what it is right now. But you know what? We're finding the solution and the accountability.
Yes.
So for me, with all and I'll.
And what about the NLP connection on our phone call?
Well, and that
my
was
fiance's
that's where
deep in
I was
training.
gonna go right into that because basically
this isn't just for addicts and alcoholics. There's other ways of people to just have breakthroughs in life.
Exactly, which is so what so I told you that's what it was. I said I'm going through a breakup with some like literally the love of my life, you know what I mean, like whatever it is, at least I thought. And then I go, oh, my definition of love has been it hurts, it doesn't feel great, right, or whatever it is. So I started going to a hypnotherapist. We started talking about that, and you were like, how's that going? And I was like, it's changing my life. Like there's all these subconscious blocks. What are you laughing at?
It's funny. It was just because the conversation it went just like that. It was amazing. It really was.
Yeah.
It was badass.
It was so, and then we just like zoned in. So we were like, wait, what? Like, and you're like, do you the NLP? And I was like, what?
Yep.
Oh my God, I want to do this so bad.
Louise
Oh,
Hayes and
yeah. And my fiance does this, or you've been doing it. And I was like, oh, I got goosebumps
I know,
again.
that's what happened.
I got goosebumps again.
What did you call them on the phone?
Oh, I called them hair boners.
Hair boners.
Hair boners is going to be the name of this
Yep.
episode.
Yep, that's what it was. I said my trainer has put me through 5 intense NLP sessions. They've been 2 to 3 hours each session, and it's literally taken my spirituality to a whole nother level. It's gone so deep into my core to clear out other stuff. Because I'm sober doesn't mean I'm not normal at times.
Right.
And I can't be freaking nuts.
Right.
And then when I told you about Priscilla and that she went down to Tampa for some NLP training, and she's almost there.
I
where
want to do the
She,
training.
I got in. It's unbelievable. I got to tell everybody that it's something that should be tried,
Right.
because it works.
Well, explain to everybody what NLP is.
Well, how do you pronounce it? I always forget.
Neuro. Yeah. Hold on. I'll tell you. But it.
I'll explain it the best way that I can.
Yeah.
Neuralistical.
No. Neurological linguistics. Hold on. Let me
Programming.
just something
Yeah.
like that. But that yes, basically it's the brain speaking to the brain, to the
Yes.
subconscious. I'm gonna find it. Hold on. I'm trying to get online.
But it's more or less where they put you into a relaxed sort of state where you're kind of, in a trance, and it taps
It's
into those moments
hypnosis.
in your life
Yeah.
that affect your everyday life nowadays. You don't want to remove the good, because certain parts of my good OCDs allow me to be the success that I am in business.
Sure.
But then there's other OCDs and other issues. 3 months ago, Krista, I couldn't look at you right now while we were doing an interview. I've always had an issue where my eyes have wandered.
Really?
I don't know what it was. It's something since I was a little kid.
Isn't that funny how I've just been like locked
Yeah.
onto you
Yeah.
like with this too? But
Yeah.
you're inviting me to do that. So that's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. Yep. And
Pretty cool.
then there's physical ailments, eczema, psoriasis that would come from stressful moments. He went so deep into my past that he almost cleared out certain issues that happened specifically when I was 10 or 12 or 14 or 18, and just removed them. So the thought is there, but the physiological feeling
The
that comes with
reaction.
it is no longer there.
Well, that I want, like, I have so many of those. And do you know what's also funny is, okay, so it's neuro linguistic programming.
Brilliant. There it is.
We were trying to make it a
There
lot
it
more
is. Priscilla
difficult.
would kill me if I didn't know how to pronounce it, because she's
But
been a savior with this book tour, putting up with my ass.
I
but
bet. I can't wait to meet her. And I wasn't able to. With his you had your
Book release event
the
in LA.
release event that I wasn't able to go to because my son was having this tonsil thing going on, and it was ridiculous. I was really bummed that I didn't get to meet
You're
her
here
or
now, that's
see
all
it.
that matters.
I know, but it was
Yep.
it was all of it. But with all of that, so like I said, I was going to the hypnotherapist, and that made me really, really excited about doing more, because I know when I go into hypnosis, I never thought in a million years that I would be hypnotized.
Right.
But when I was sitting with this woman, and she was like, look, you can scratch your nose, you can do your stuff, you can, you're going to itch, whatever's going on. She was like, but I will be talking to your subconscious. And I was like, oh, rah, 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 rah. And then she had me putting my hand on this table. And as she was talking, she was like, now your hand is starting to raise. And literally I remember thinking, no, that's hilarious. And she kept talking, and my hand started raising. Remember me telling you this
Yep.
story? And I
Amazing.
started crying
Amazing.
because what I noticed was the release.
Yes.
My
The fr-
subconscious
the-
was
the
letting
freedom.
go.
Yep.
And I also felt the heaviness of all I'm holding on to.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Absolutely. I've been there. I know.
And so I'm looking forward to this journey, because sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself. And that might just be the most fantastic adventure of anyone's life.
100%.
Right?
I talk about it in my book. My bottom became my beginning.
Yes, I love
And
that.
From my darkest of days came the brightest of lights.
Yeah. And it sounds cliche,
Mm.
but it's
It's so
full on real.
friggin' true.
Yeah. I found moments of what you're talking about. Moments. It's right around the time that we first spoke. These moments where I was like, I was so connected with self-love, with God, with whatever, and going, oh my gosh, that's what I said when you came in today. I said, oh God, I'm looking outside for this validation for this person that can't give me what I need. And I'm looking at that instead of going to God, going to source and going, oh, fill me up this way, fill me up from inside. Where can I connect with you, as opposed to reaching outside myself for it, which it would be in a relationship.
Mhm.
And I said, and I compared it to the addiction of anything
It's
else.
the same. It's just it's a different. It's all about looking for an outside fix that's an inside job.
Which is the
That's what
lack
it all
of
is.
self-love.
Yep.
And it's something about self-loathing. So when you were doing all the opioids and you were doing all of this stuff and reaching for those pills, it was the same thing. You knew it wasn't where you wanted to be. You knew that it wasn't right.
No. Mm-mm.
But in the having, you knew you'd feel better in the having of it. And so I think anytime we do that with anything, and we're coming from that place of lack,
Absolute lack of. Mm-hmm.
you're never going to get there from there.
And it's also so much easier staying in that space than the fear of the unknown of what happens if you're not in that arena anymore, if you do try to make that change.
Right.
Because you know what you know.
Right.
You're used to that way of living that makes you feel comfortable. But what happens is those feelings, whether it's emotionally or caused by a pill or a drug or a drink or a relationship, you're getting, a certain charge in that moment. But the after effects from it is what causes all these catastrophes and
Right.
a horrible quality of life. And
For 5
like we
years.
say, a definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And I always thought it was a sign of weakness to admit that there was a problem. And as I started celebrating sobriety one day at a time, and minutes became hours, hours became days, days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years, I realized it's the opposite. It's actual strength to surrender and realize that there's something here I want to fix. There's something here that's just not right. And I know it. And even though most of the people in my life, outside of maybe 3 or 4 of them, even like you see, these guys never knew, because my pride and my ego in itself, and they also saw me highly functioning. I would never let them know that I was
That's
sniffing
the key.
Oxycontins and Percocets in my own bedroom at 3 a.m, because the international business that was going on and the stress and being overwhelmed, I needed to set my alarm in the middle of the night to do that. So when I woke up in the morning, it was still in my system. So when I was dealing with all of them, I was still somewhat on that, calm, little buzzed. That's not normal when you're doing that at 3 a.m. and you're on antidepressants, anxiety medication, a mood stabilizer, prescription-based cough syrups, and taking sleeping pills. And when I'm going out with them, we're drinking with the clients, or
And you're taking
to the
vodka,
point of
Red
blackout.
Bulls,
So
doing, yeah.
that's not somebody with a problem. I mean, it was, yeah, and hey, I was one of the lucky ones to hide it, but more importantly, fall to my knees and find recovery and find God in my life. It's a higher power than any one of us, whatever you choose to call them.
Yeah, it is.
When
Whatever.
you have that breakthrough
Yeah, yeah.
from a relationship, from eating, cutting, all these issues that everybody's dealing with, drinking, drugging, shopping, sex. It's a point of surrendering in
Right.
that moment and knowing that with every fiber in your soul, you're ready for that change.
Right.
Take me, do me, whatever you can to get me to that point, because I can't do it by myself.
Right.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I had that moment.
And were you afraid? I know sometimes, like, even for me, here's the other thing for me, and I don't know so I've been thinking, I'm just going to go get a cabin in Big Bear for like a couple of months and just go away. I'm not going to, of course, no drinking. I'm just going to write. I have a pilot I'm supposed to write. A pilot I just got optioned. This is huge for me. Have I started it? No. I've been dealing with a lot of other things. There's
Right.
always an excuse. There's always this or that, right? But there's all of these other things going on. And I thought to myself, and then somebody told me, now, why exactly are you going to Big Bear to go right? Because no matter where you go, there you are. So whatever you think is going on,
Geographically,
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't mean crap.
But I think because I feel, and you were you were right here. Everything was great. Money's coming in. Clients are happy. You hate yourself, but everything's okay. Now, how long of a break did you take? Whenever
When I got sober,
yeah,
you mean?
when you fell to your knees and said, okay, done.
To be honest with you, the one I needed a break from, we talked about it on Good Day LA, was Dennis Rodman. He was the only one. Dennis has never done drugs, but he's been open about his alcoholism. And he was the one that I needed, 4, 5, 6 months away from, because the craziness. The rest of my guys in my office all, took the lead. If I needed days to go to 2 12-step meetings to be around my spiritual brothers and sisters. They
Mhm.
all stepped up and rose to the occasion because I made it very clear. Nothing comes before my sobriety.
Right.
My mother, my father, my business, my clients, because anything I put before it, I'm going to lose. And that's how important I knew that this journey needed to be. And
Yeah.
if I put it first, everything else falls into place.
I
And
yeah.
it took me, look, a lot of the questions on the talk shows and the interviews have been, what about going out? You're in the entertainment business. I can go out now. Darren Prince is not that important if I go to a red carpet event, a launch where if I say hello for 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, give hugs, take some photos with some friends, say what's up. When I leave, Krista, I'm not that important that people are going to miss me if they're throwing back a few drinks.
Right.
So
Right.
it's no big deal. I
No,
go for the amount of time I
nobody
need to
is.
go, and I'm good.
Nobody is once people are throwing back a few drinks. You know what I mean? Like it's like it doesn't matter. But that's such a. But yeah, you were saying something, and there's. It's that nothing is more important than your sobriety, and that is, I think I need to be sober from all kinds of things. Love, alcohol. There's all kinds of things because nothing is more important than that feeling that I felt a couple of times when I'm connected with source, when I'm connected and I'm like right there, but then I keep falling off. And maybe that's where with everybody else that's listening, it is important to have a support system. You can't be
100%.
fearless alone.
No one can do it alone at all. It's like the conversation we had on the phone talking about Tony Robbins. I'm
Yeah.
going to give her with that woman. And I said, I truly feel
Mhm.
that right now you're teeter-tottering on that life-changing moment for yourself.
That's
And
true.
you're going to have that breakthrough. And then you're going to go out and start helping other people
Yeah.
with the codependence and everything that you dealt with so
Yeah.
they don't make those same choices and same mistakes. The same way I wrote Aiming High is about helping other people recover.
Yeah.
And also talking to kids in high schools. I was at the White House last week, and I've been honored to be a part of their opiate epidemic mission and educating these kids. Don't go down the road that I did.
Yeah.
If you feel a little bit off, if you don't feel comfortable in your skin, find better friends. Speak to your guidance counselor. Talk to your mom and dad. Speak to people you could trust.
If
Don't
they
keep it all
can, yeah.
inside. Because the reality is, even a simple dentist appointment. 1 in 3 kids as teenagers go to a dentist appointment, a wisdom teeth, a cavity, you get a painkiller. 1 in 3 becomes addicted to opiates.
Oh, really? I
1 in
didn't even
3.
know that.
So that's an insane percentage.
That is an insane
So if you're
percentage.
aware of what's going on and
'Cause
you're
it
that person that's
feels-
just not feeling comfortable and you want to, do what I did, don't just speak to somebody. They're so,
Well, especially now, it's a lot different than when we were growing up.
yeah.
I didn't have anybody to speak to, neither did you really. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I know I had a counselor at one point. And he was kind of great. But that was, I think, like 6th grade. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have these and we didn't have the knowledge back at that time.
Exactly.
We didn't have all of this stuff
And
I guess
and technology.
and technology and Google and all of these things. And so I guess I urge anybody out there, mental health is such, it's more talked about these days than it ever has been because
Mhm.
we're seeing things and we do have technology and we do have the internet and people can reach out. You're never alone. And I think that's
That's it.
at the end of the day, even if I think for me, even sitting in my apartment going through one of the biggest depressions I've ever gone through and coming out of it, knowing I wasn't going to do anything bad to myself, but man, the uncomfortable part of just not being able to move was enough. And it's knowing that even when felt like I was at my most alone moment, that's when I would just ask to center and like connect, like I
Mhm.
wasn't alone. And it sounds so silly. I never thought I could do that,
Mhm.
where I could close my eyes, meditate, and actually go, I don't feel so alone right now.
Right.
There's
Yep.
like an entire universe out there supporting me.
100% there is.
And I felt it. Like
Yep.
those are things that I've never been able to feel before. But it was like you say, God kind of came to you. That was these different God shots and moments that had happened.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing that happened with me, but it was like shaking me going, okay, are you good? Are you done? Are you done yet with this stupid love addiction, with all these stupid things? It's ruining your world. People think I'm so happy on the outside, just like they thought you were so together on the outside, but then in your empty moments, did you really
completely
like the
broken.
company you kept?
And that brings us to the last 2 A's, the attitude adjustment.
Exactly.
Because I think for a lot of us, in and out of recovery with addiction issues, without addiction issues, that, you know, in the grand scheme of life, we have luxury problems, most of us.
Yes.
But we don't see it that way.
Right.
It's all about our perspective and our perception on the way that we look at things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real easy, like I told you before we started this, to get stuck in our own head. But I've learned that I'm not responsible for my thoughts. I am responsible for how long I want to think it.
I
It's
love
up to
that.
Darren to use tools that he now has as a sober spiritual adult
Yeah.
to get rid of those thoughts. What is
Yeah.
that? Do I take an action to help somebody else? Do I call somebody that just needs, a little pick me up? And do I take somebody out to lunch that I haven't seen in months? Do I do some charitable work to really see that what other people are struggling with, to go back and then feel like an idiot and say, how did 3 hours ago I started thinking this about myself and I just went to this charitable organization and saw all this,
Right.
But it's just like working out. It's a daily reprieve.
Yes,
what,
it is.
What we all did yesterday to stay in that healthy, spiritual, sound state of mind, it's not good for today. You got to do it again.
Yeah.
You have to do it every single day. And it's just about that routine. And then once you
Right.
get there, like Tony Robbins says, the repetition, the more you do it, the more it becomes a complete way of life.
Yeah. And it's funny because the less you do it and the more things start to fall off, the more unmanageable your life becomes. And then
And
the
it
more
spirals out.
you go into the addiction.
Yep.
And yes. And I think that's where a lot of America is.
100%.
I think that's where the confusion comes in for so many of us that are not sober. And I don't mean sober just from alcohol. I
Right.
mean sober.
Sober spiritually.
Spiritually.
Right.
Yeah. Like having that, just making time management, going, okay, am I going to get, nothing is more important than waking up an hour and a half earlier every morning to write down the things that make me feel better and start my day off good. Is it worth it? And it's like, well, is it really worth it? And it's like, it's, of course it is,
Yep.
it's not, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I just get mad when I don't give it to myself. I told you it's been 3
but
days.
like you said before, we give it to other people.
That's all I've been doing for 3 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, it's that thing where I'm giving
There's
nothing.
so many of us that are great at giving it away.
Yes.
But when we need the advice for ourselves. we're
Yes.
not.
I'm like, I'm going to go donate blood. All of it. Okay. I'm just going to give it all away. Does that help? Wait, hold on. No, maybe that's not the best thing to do. Just go give it all. I don't know. Okay. So we have the attitude adjustment, which is, it's almost like like you have the stages of grief. This is like the stages of awareness. This is the stages of evolution.
Mhm.
If you look at the 4 A's that way.
I do. And I also implement the serenity prayer a lot with it, that, as they say, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's the part that screws everybody
I
up,
know.
the wisdom part.
Yeah.
We all get twisted.
To
with
know the
wisdom
difference,
part, to know
yeah.
the difference. But the other part about the serenity prayer is it tells you, and I talk about this in the book, that we need to accept things. We need to accept them. But nowhere does it say in that prayer that we need to like what we're accepting.
Oh yeah.
If
That's
you
a great
accept
place to-
it, the
yeah.
quicker you can get onto your journey and have the day that you need to have,
Right.
and take on the world the way we deserve to be as human beings.
It's taking the victim out of all of it, right? Because the only reason that we don't like things the way that they are is because we think, again, we're coming at it from a place of lack,
Exactly.
thinking that we're going to
Lack
feel
of.
lack of,
Yep.
think we're going to feel better in the having of it. In if he was just, nicer to me, if he would just give me more attention, what I have found is turning that shit around and going, if I gave myself more attention, if I was more loyal to myself, if I gave him more attention, like which one feels better?
Exactly.
Because that one, the one that makes you a victim,
Mm.
that one feels like shit.
And there's also, we struggle with fear of not getting what we want, and then fear of losing what we have.
Yeah, and exactly. And that is a lot of subconscious stuff too. There's so much.
Yep.
There's so much. It's so fascinating. Like the whole human condition of who we are and what we came
Yep.
here to do. It's amazing. Like we have to experience this contrast in life in order to
100%.
know what we want, because now we know what we don't want.
100%.
The trick is not to be a victim.
Yep. And again, I used the term before, it's a daily reprieve.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you and I
it.
could be feeling great. When I leave here and you finish up the rest of your day, you're back on that spiritual beam where
Yeah.
you need to be. And then at 5 o'clock today, for no reason, you or me could have a little thing happen and boom, we're just right out there again. But what do we do to reel ourselves back in? There's a lot of techniques that I've learned as well that I'll end it with this.
Oh no, it's great.
That
It's great.
I
I
try
could talk to you
now.
forever, by the way.
I try to now say what I mean,
Yeah.
mean what I say, and not say it mean. That's something
And
that
not say it mean.
Yeah.
That's really great.
isn't it? So
I love that. That's
So,
really great.
you get so much more of that. Then
Oh my God, I love that.
I try understanding people instead of me understanding myself,
Right. 'Cause
because that also keeps me in that peaceful, relaxed mode.
that makes
And then
sense.
the third one is, and I said this at my launch event on Sunday when I spoke, that I'd so much rather feel all right in life than right, even
Yeah.
when I know I'm right, because we have those people in our lives that could drive us nuts,
Yeah.
that we have to love from a distance.
Yeah.
That it's just not worth it. Don't engage. Just don't do it. Because when we open up our big freaking fat mouths and then we have that emotional hangover and the resentment and the anger.
I know that
That's
also.
all that
Yeah.
attitude adjustment.
That-
Everything I just said.
Yes, and that's perfect. I mean, and that's all of that. It's those triggers down below that make us go, I know that this is the right thing to do, what you just said, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's my world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Amazing.
Right?
Amazing. So true.
I mean, this is, I love this. I could literally talk to you
I
forever.
know. If I didn't have to get to Vegas,
I
then we
know
would have to
you and
do it
Nick are
again.
going. Well, yes, actually, Nick said you're going to have to do 2 podcasts with him, and I was like,
Yeah.
of course.
I'm back in a couple of weeks. We're gonna have to. You'll
Yeah.
be more pepped up. You'll be ready
Can
to
I
go.
please meet
You can read the
Priscilla?
book at that point.
Yeah, but can I meet? I want to meet Priscilla. Is she going with you?
She's coming to Vegas with me,
She is.
so you'll meet her when we come
Okay,
back.
when
on
we
the
come back.
26th.
Priscilla,
100%.
I'm really looking forward to meeting you.
Yes.
She'll hear this before she meets me. So, anyway, all right. Well, thank you for coming on. That was awesome.
And it's Aiming High.
Yes.
It is a bestseller in 4 countries by the grace of God. And a fabulous writer and publisher, Anna David from Light
Who
Hustler.
I love so
We
much.
have a mutual friend.
Yes.
She's a genius. She paired me up with my writer, and then you can go to Amazon and buy it. It's in Barnes and Nobles, and it's on aiminghighbook.com.
Yes, and they can find you social media.
My Instagram agent at agent_DP. Darren
Those
Prince
underscores are so annoying.
Mm.
No, I'll get okay. Well, thank you, and I will see you later. Okay, bye.
She's fine. She's fine.
I'm fine.
It's Dragon Wagon.